not frightened by what lies ahead, and I don't believe the American people are frightened by what lies ahead.
How many more from the Papers? And the Papers are featured in a re-release of a documentary which was made in the early 80s, and it's Listen to London. But I have in the studio today Desmond Horsfield, Steve Sattler and John Fitzsimons, who is from the Papers. Desmond and Steve produced and filmed the documentary. This documentary was made 25 years ago. What prompted you to re-release it now?
Listen to London came about because we got a call from John's brother, Mike, who was putting together a retros of the band, the Papers. There was a lot of interest in it. Kind of kicked us in the rear to get off our tail and put the film out again. Desmond actually was contacted, and
Steve and I have been talking about putting the film out again because we put it away 25 years ago and forgotten all about it. Actually, literally lost it physically. And when Mike emailed, because they were thinking of putting the Papers back on the road, it gave us a kick in the butt to do it. And we jumped right on it.
It must be remarkable revisiting that again, because with all those years in between, things change in all our lives. But going back, that must have been just like stepping back into all those memories.
And we had literally forgotten all about it.
Really?
We both gone off and started our own video production companies. Excuse me, and got on with our lives. Steve got married and he's got grown kids now, and suddenly
I have sympathy, Steve. I have a 17-year-old. So.
We were forced to confront the fact that we were now slightly grey, and we looked at the film again, and it was a real shock seeing ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we tried to remember what we did, and we spent the last 4 years basically trying to put it all back together, and we're still filling in the blanks.
At the time when we made it, we made it for an American audience.
Yeah.
We wanted to just kind of show the grassroots, the ground level.
Yeah, show what can be done.
And how songs were done, and in America you always heard of the British Revolution, coming over with the Beatles and all that stuff. So we wanted to see what it was like street level. So we came over, and we sort of by chance happened to pick the bands that came about because we didn't know what was going to make it, what wasn't. And you had mentioned before you were surprised by omission. It wasn't a matter of omission. It was who came up to us and let us film them, and it was pretty open market at the time. And
well, the whole project took about a year to complete.
With no sleep, because you're doing the day job as well, so presumably.
We both worked in television in America. We were both shooting news. We were in the news department, covering politics and crime and all that stuff. Actually, what happened really was that Steve came to me one day, because we were buddies. Steve came to me one day and said, there's something going on in England. And I said, what? And he said, I don't know, but there's something happening with music. Do you want to go make a film? And that was the beginning of it. We got a feeling that there was something happening, but we weren't quite sure what. I
presume that the news coverage work actually must help, because you're filming in very sort of inhospitable places, like clubs and that at that time. So that actually must have been quite useful. You used to being jostled about and stuff while filming news.
Yeah,
and
getting
that
elbowed.
Punch thing that you need to for news.
Lots of times, nowadays when you make music videos, you rehearse them 3, 4, 5, 10 times. You film them from all different angles. Luckily, we had the experience just by we couldn't speak to one another, Desmond and I, as we shot. We just kind of had to grab what we could in a live situation from 2 different camera angles. We would kind of tag team each other. This angle and that angle. If I saw that he moved to the right, I'd move to the left, and vice versa. And yes, our experience in rough situations did help out. In that, and 99% of the bands in the film, it's live. That's exactly what happened, and there was no second chance. We'd show up, we'd film, and we'd be out the door and on to the next pub or bar scene.
But that's nice, because it has that immediacy, doesn't it? And that's what the scene was all about, and it still is the same with unsigned bands now who are still breaking. It's what's happening now. and you're capturing that. And I think the roughness, although I don't think actually the coverage was that rough, but the roughness of being in a club and having to do that sort of shooting, that actually mirrors what the bands are all about.
We're willing to admit that it was pretty rough.
I don't think I think I've seen a lot worse.
Guerrilla shooting, but what we were doing in television, we were the low guys on the totem pole in the news department. So we got the night shift, which meant that we got the gang shootings and all that stuff. So actually doing all this, club footage really wasn't such a big deal.
Yeah.
We could really do it with our eyes closed.
Yeah, I do think it's a perfect match actually. You'll the news thing to it, because it is the immediacy. I think that was really that really came over, which was really good.
Real quick, the way that we found the bands originally was that we sent letters to anybody we could think of, and including New Musical Express, and we think it was them that printed a short article saying that an American film company was coming over. Then we were deluged, and then there were so many that it was really just, who the hell are these people? And we started just picking the ones that seemed like would be interesting.
Well, that's exciting though, isn't it? That is exciting.
Yeah, but we didn't just put a pile of letters on the floor and then just randomly pick them. No. We actually photographed as many as we could. And in the outtakes, there were certain bands that we did omit.
Thank you guys for joining me today. Listen to London, 1 o'clock this afternoon at Comedia. Get over there and see it.